everybody, welcome to G4G here on YouTube. Today we're doing an episode of G4G News, and we're going to be talking about 3 different topics that we've got. It was originally going to be 2 topics, and then early this morning a third rather important topic happened to come out. So we're going to go ahead and touch upon 3 different things today in G4G News. So one of the third one, the one that was added, is what you see in front of you right now, and that is Battle for Azeroth. So for Battle for Azeroth, Blizzard has gone ahead and set the release date. So the release date for BFA, Battle for Azeroth, however you're gonna refer to it, is now going to be August 14th. That's pretty good. Originally they were saying it would be by September of 2018, and if you know Blizzard, you know that by September of 2018 really doesn't mean they're going to surprise you and, oh, it'll have a July date or it'll have a June date or something like that. They actually do mean a date pretty close to the date that they're saying when they say by. So a lot of people expected BFA to be dropping probably in September. Now, that's not unheard of. Whenever Blizzard goes ahead and does summer releases, that always tends to be when it drops. And that is September. Now, the winter releases tend to be between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and then the summer releases have tended to be around September. So hearing that it's August 15th, or excuse me, August 14th, is pretty cool because it shaves about a month off from the prediction. And I think that is well within the realms of what most people would be happy with. I can't imagine there would be a whole lot of people that are sitting there going, oh man, August? Wow, that's too much. I like an August date. I mean, to me, it's certainly better than September. So for me and my guild, that probably means we're going to be raiding through April, and then probably looking to pack it up sometime in May is my guess, and take a break. Now the reason for that is, well, we've actually been heroic 11 of 11 for several weeks now. This is probably one of the earliest expansions that we've finished. I mean, we've always tended to raid just about up until the release of the new expansion, maybe taking a week or 2 off, but we've gotten everything we've wanted done, except for maybe farming some.
You have come to the right place.
Wow, battered hilt. That's interesting. Except for maybe farming some achievements and older raids and everything. We will probably attempt to do a mythical Dan in there and go for the mount, and we might do some achievements from Throne, but to be honest, I'm not particularly thrilled with Throne's achievements, and that is mostly due to the fact that in most raids you tend to stumble upon an achievement or 2 along the way, either because you've done something really dumb and you get the achievement that's related to doing dumb things, or you do something really, really well and you get that achievement. Well, that hasn't happened for us in Throne, so it sounds like perhaps all of it is going to be some interesting work. So let's see what we've got here. We're tossing Axe Beaks from Warlords of Draenor. So that date honestly is fine with me, and I predict at least June and, well, May and June will probably not be raiding, and we'll probably get the pre-BIFA stuff somewhere in, my guess is late July. I don't think they would wait until August for that, to be honest.
must get closer.
Well, this is going to be interesting. Murder Beak. I really like the sound of this. So I totally admit I have not played a DPS warrior in a very, very long time, so this is going to be interesting. And I'm not going to be going through the beta as a DPS warrior. I'll probably either roll my druid until I can character transfer, or roll a hunter, because I'm definitely not thrilled with this guy. I get my ass kicked a lot on this guy. Yeah, that's just a little bit disconcerting to get a pop-up. So, here is the splash screen that we've got for BFA. And a lot of the stuff that you would hope from the alpha is not currently in it, unfortunately. There are some allied races, but not a lot of the new ones that we've been hearing about. And definitely going to be doing a video on it in the future, in terms of 2 videos I've got planned. One will be about some of the BFA specific mounts that you can see in the game, and I'm going to be doing that one with a guest. And also just kind of, you know, the beginning 10, 15, 20 minutes of the expansion. So, the next piece of news that we've got, I find this one actually to be a little on the ironic side. And the reason why is I haven't thought of the game in a long time, and then I suddenly saw it in my games folder. I was like, hey, I wonder what's been going on with this particular game. And I Googled it, and that was the day that they announced that it was shutting down. So the game that I'm talking about is Amazon's Breakaway, which you can see here sitting in my games folder. Now, unfortunately, as reported by many sites, including Polygon, the very, very Twitch tied in Amazon Breakaway, which was kind of like MOBA soccer, is getting canceled. And the news came out on April 2nd that Amazon Studios is no longer developing this game. Now, whether or not they continue to develop Crucible and New World, I don't know, but Breakaway is now done, and I reviewed this game back in December of 2016 for the first time. So, what Breakaway was like is, if you can imagine a soccer match with MOBA-like abilities. You had heroes in the game, and they fell under different classes. Some were support-ish, some were tanky, some were DPS. And the job was to score with a ball. A ball spawned in the center, and you either walked it into the enemy well or portal, or you shot it in. And I think it was it 3 versus 3? I forgot the size of the teams, but they changed the game up a lot almost any time I went and did a beta weekend for it. The characters would be different, and I don't mean, oh, they would have a different rotation. I mean, some of the characters were very, very different from beta weekend to beta weekend. This footage was from back December 15th through the 19th, back at the end of 2016. It was very heavily tied to Twitch. You could very easily go online and stream it from within the actual game itself. It was kind of interesting. So you had abilities that were on what I felt was a fairly long cooldown. It's one of the things that I kind of disliked about the game, was that it always felt like your abilities were on a longer cooldown than a lot of MOBAs. You know, when you play something like Heroes of the Storm and whatnot, you feel like your abilities, most of them other than ultimates, come up fairly quickly. Well, not in Breakaway. Everything seemed to be really long in this game. One of the interesting things that you had in this game is that you could set traps. You could put traps around the map, like big walls, spike traps and everything that would slow people down. And part of the whole chess match of the thing was what traps you were going to bring into battle and where you were going to place them to hopefully slow the enemy team down. So this is what the map looked like. It was basically a straight line map where the relic would spawn in the middle and power-ups would spawn flanking the middle, and you had to bring the relic from the center to the enemy well. Over here you can see some of the characters that were available at the time. They had Black McCree. He kind of looked like Saz from Final Fantasy 13. Had a weird sex baby with McCree. He was like a gunslinger. You had Spartacus. You had Thorgrim. You had the pirate lady. You had the Aztec lady there. Then you had like the Dr. Frankenstein electric dude. But it kept changing. Like every time I would find that it was a breakaway weekend, things changed drastically. But unfortunately now, breakaway is no longer going to be available. One of the other things that we encountered in the news just recently, as we see here in Ars Technica, is that Monolith has said, yeah, sorry, we're not going to do the loot boxes for real-world money in Shadows of War anymore. This, of course, is great news. A lot of people have actually turned around and said, hey, you know what? I will actually consider getting the game now because of that. And in case you were unaware, Shadow of War was one of the two really, really shit things going on that was making loot boxes really bad and putting a super bad name for it. So you, of course, had what was going on with Star Wars Battlefront 2, but Shadow of War was not too far behind it in terms of the hate. A lot of people thought what Shadow of War was doing was extremely greedy, and they felt it was not doing justice to the original game. And the article basically says Monolith felt that it had crafted such a good story for the game and everything that by cheating, quote unquote, by spending money to beef up your orc troops and not going through the plot and the game to get them and not getting them naturally was actually hindering the game. Personally, if you ask me, I would say people not wanting to play the game was hindering the game because, everybody was so against the loot boxes in that game. So, fortunately, if you are thinking about wow, I got the extra backpack slots for the authenticator in the beta. That's very interesting. So if you're thinking about getting Shadow of War, but we're holding off because you didn't like the idea of microtransactions like centipedes in my game, now's the time to go ahead and get it. It should be hopefully a lot more fun. You may find that you don't have the shortcut anymore where if you were a whale and you had the cash, you're like, I don't want to grind to get this orc of +5 orking and +6 riding things or whatever. Well, yeah, that's going to be out. But for everybody else, people have considered it a positive move, and they're very interested in the game. So that's what we've got going on in this first week of April. We've got the release date for BFA, which is going to be August 14th. This has mostly been a positive release. Some people are a little scared thinking the alpha is not ready for it, but Blizzard works pretty well under time crunches. I mean, it's the beginning of April. Halfway through August, I think they will have plenty of time to get this game in order. I need to spend more time with it and see what people think they're complaining about, like what's buggy about it. I really haven't seen it yet. Breakaway is going under, so if you're into MOBA sports, MOBA soccer is probably the best, or MOBA basketball, honestly. You're going to be losing a game there, and there is no more loot boxes in Shadow of War, and that one's pretty much universally being hailed as yay. Unfortunately, both companies did a lot of damage to loot boxes. Hopefully, things where loot boxes are done well, like Overwatch, won't come into play. I mean, everything in Overwatch is, of course, cosmetic, but it's a real danger when powerful game items or game progression like Star Wars Battlefront 2 is locked behind a loot box. That's kind of bullshit. It shouldn't be RNG just to get a green lightsaber for Luke Skywalker or a hat that makes Luke Skywalker pink or something. Anyway, that's what we've got going on for G4G News. I will see you guys in some future Marvel Strike Force videos and some future Battle for Azeroth beta and alpha videos. Take care, everybody.